Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's Bob Wolf. No, it's not Forrest. Forrest is still on vacation. A well-deserved one, I might add. So you have me. You're stuck with me. Since this is only a 1-hour show, I really don't have enough time for all that I have planned today. So I'm going to get right into the show. The subject matter for today is inspiring, and it's perhaps a life-changing event as well. It's a subject that is drawing a firestorm of controversy in the media and in videos. Let me share this with you first. My wife and I went to see a documentary movie showing last week at a local theater. It was called The Four Blood Moons. This was a limited time showing of the movie, and it was a sellout, I might add. I'd be willing to bet that Early Man shared at least this one common curiosity with both you and I. Now, what is that? Well, it would be the awesomeness of space. I'd like to have you focus for a moment on a word that I just use, awesome or awesomeness, a single word that most of us use all the time. This single word can just about sum up the overwhelming feeling that early man must have felt as he gazed skyward into the heavens. He probably would have described his feelings as awesome, had this word been in part of his vocabulary at that time. The word I'm focusing on here again is the word awesome. It's an expressive word, a very overused word. I myself reserve the word to be used for what I truly believe to be extraordinarily inspiring things, perhaps those things inspired by God's creativity. I'm sure that any person who has gazed up into the heavens on a dark night had to be truly in awe at what he or she was seeing. This awe-inspiring view could make your mouth drop wide open. And, in fact, this, you've got to know, is God's creative hand at work. An awesome creation indeed. There's that word, awesome, again. So, speaking of awesome events in the heavens above us, there is an awesome event that is, in fact, taking place in the heavens tonight. Tonight, that is. And it's been taking place for a few months now, ever since Passover of April 15th, 2014. NASA, our space administration, has labeled this event a tetrad. Now, exactly what is a tetrad, you may ask? It's a series of 4 full lunar eclipses appearing back-to-back without a partial eclipse ever taking place in between. It's not very common. NASA said that it's only happened just a handful of times in the last 2,000 years. In the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, there were none of these tetrads, not one. But between 2001 and the year 2100, there will be a total of 8 tetrads occurring. The current tetrad of 4 full lunar eclipses happening right now is even more rare. Why? The tetrad may signal a major change that's about to happen on Earth, or a major event. You see, because that's what happened in the past times of the tetrad, and Bible passages forecast these events. And what's even more unusual about this particular tetrad is 4 blood moons that accompany this series of lunar eclipses. Is this back-to-back phenomena of blood moon eclipses caused by God? Is it a prophetic sign for us to recognize, or just another celestial phenomena? I'll leave that up to you, my friends, to decide. Just remember, it does tell us in the Bible that our God would use the sun, moon, and the stars as signs for us to read, and that these signs in the heavens would foretell globally important events that are on their way to happening, or that are happening right then. After all, that's what the Star of Bethlehem was telling everybody, right? An event was taking place, and this was God's sign to the world in order to proclaim it. And so, the phenomena that is known as the blood moons is named that for a reason, since the blood moons change its color to an eerie orange, blood red color. 2 of the occurrences of this tetrad lunar eclipses have already happened this year, 2 of the 4, and they have occurred on these dates. Well, I say this year, partly last year, but listen to this and think on it very carefully. On a Passover of April 15th, 2014, a day known as the Lord's Feast, and the next one happened on September 8th of 2014, again on the Lord's Feast, known as Sukkot. The very next occurrence is tonight, believe it or not, April 4th, 2015. Again, a prophetic sign for sure, because this is Passover, proclaiming our Lord's death and his burial. You think this is just a coincidence, do you? And the next blood moon will be this September 28th, 2015. Once again, happening on a holy day, the Feast of the Lord, Sukkot. According to NASA, there are only 8 of these tetrads that will occur in a total of 21 centuries. The Bible predicts the tetrads in Joel 2:31, saying, "The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes." Now, it's been said that the strange timing of this event, between the anniversary of Jesus' death and Good Friday and his resurrection on Easter Sunday, is proof positive of a religious significance and sign from God telling us that a global event is about to unfold before us. The guest that I'm going to introduce you to today was in the movie that my wife and I went to go see just the other night, called The Four Blood Moons. Oh, and by the way, if you want to go see this movie that's being shown again in limited showings, you could try to get tickets for it. It's being shown again on April 9th at 7:30 p.m. at Tinseltown Theaters on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida. If you're not in Jacksonville and listening to the show, go to your nearest movie theater or your ticket sales to inquire, but don't waste any time doing it. The tickets will sell out. And now I'm going to play for you the recorded interview that I did earlier in this week with my very special guest, the man who appears in the documentary, The Four Blood Moons. Now, he'll be introduced in the recorded interview. And now, here's the interview. I had an opportunity to go to see a film at a local theater in Jacksonville, Florida, last week with my wife. Before we ever got to the theater, we realized that the theater was already sold out. The tickets were sold out. The theater was packed. So the theater company opened up the room next to that theater, another theater, to kind of handle the overflow, and that theater was sold out too. Folks, the name of the movie that we went to see was The Four Blood Moons. This is a movie produced by Pastor Hagee. Some of you might have heard of him or have watched his shows on television. Pretty famous Christian minister. So anyway, the reason I think that the theaters were completely sold out was because people are thirsting for this knowledge. They're thirsting for the knowledge of what does this Bible prophecy have to do with the four blood moons, and have they ever occurred before? And if they have occurred before, what is the meaning? What is the potential meaning of these signs? Or are they signs from our God? Are they signs that would let us be able to interpret prophecy? One of the men that appeared in that film is here in the studio with me today by way of a pre-recorded transcript that I did with him a little bit earlier in the week. So if he sounds a little bit funny, it's because, of course, he's on the telephone, and I have recorded this show to bring to you today to help discover or decipher the mystery of the four blood moons. What are they about? Why does this phenomena occur in the heavens? And what does NASA have to do with it? What does our Bible prophecy have to do with it? And a number of other questions. So with that, I want to introduce him right now. He is talking to us from Washington State, and his name is Mr. Mark Biltz. So, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Pastor Mark Biltz. And I'm going to ask him a couple of questions and let you know a few things about him. He has a passion for studies of literature written from the Jewish mindset, and he realizes that the Jews loved the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and they had been studying the Tanakh.
The Tanakh, the Hebrew word for the Old Testament, the Tanakh.
All right, good. Pastor Biltz started El Shaddai Ministries about 7 years ago to educate Christians from all different denominations on how anti-Semitism and replacement theology crippled our understanding of God and the covenants has made with his people, the Jews. Pastor Biltz has been interviewed by Fox Television. He has appeared on the broadcast and cover of prophecy in the news, and has been interviewed by several radio stations across the United States and Canada, and he is well known and a popular commentator on the Feasts of the Lord, and his series of DVDs on the feasts has gone around the world. He has revealed a link between charts of solar and lunar eclipses from NASA's website with Israel's history, the biblical feast days, and signs in the heavens, drawing clear similarities between them. He's spoken at congregations and meetings around the U.S. and is a frequent visitor to Israel. So, Pastor Biltz?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, Bob.
Sure enough. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. El Shaddai, I started that ministry about 14 years ago. And the reason was to connect Christians with the Hebraic mindset, the Hebraic roots of their faith, because it's like looking at the Bible, the New Testament as well, through 3D glasses, so to speak. And so, as you said, I lead tours to Israel, and our internet connection, we have 207 nations who come to our website just to learn this stuff. And I was just fascinated when I discovered the connection of these solar-lunar eclipses on the feast days, and then looking at the historical events that also happened at those same times. I thought this was something that I really needed to do some more research in.
And so you have a book, I believe it's called Blood Moons, or is it called The Four Blood Moons?
No, Blood Moons.
Decoding the Imminent and Heavenly Signs. We're going to take just a short break, and then we're going to be back with Pastor Mark Biltz, and we're talking about the phenomena called the Four Blood Moons occurring now. 2 more to go. And you're listening to WBOB Radio. This is The Answer, FM 100.3, AM 600. We'll be right back. Okay, sorry, folks. Evidently, that segment ended. They just told me that each segment might be, each segment was all right, but there was one segment that might be just a little bit too long. So what I want to do is invite you to call. If you want to give me a call and let us know what your questions are, if you have any. The number to call is 222-TALK-8255. It's 600 BOB, The Answer, in Jacksonville. This is Bob Wolf.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Well, it's not exactly Forrest Wilson. It is Bob Wolf, but I hope Forrest will excuse me for warming his chair up. I'm sorry we have to cut one segment just a little bit short, but it's okay, folks. You'll get the gist of it, and if you do want to call, maybe there will be possibly some time in the last segment of the show. So I'm going to go ahead and let him put the clip on wherever it starts at right now, and let him play that clip for us, okay? Before the break, we were talking with Pastor Mark Biltz. We're talking about the phenomenon known as the blood moons. This occurs in our heavens, in our heavenly bodies above us. It's when the moon and the sun and the earth are in perfect alignment. So I want to continue our recorded show with Pastor Mark Biltz. It's in paperback, and tell me about that.
Yes, we have a book and a DVD that's been put out. I wrote the book about about a year ago. I made the discovery, though, in 2008. And so it's been about 6 years since I made the discovery, and I had written some material on it and put it on our website, giving it away for free. A lot of people started writing books on my material, and someone came to me and said, Mark, you're the one that knows this more in depth. And these people are kind of going different directions with it. Why don't you come out? So I went ahead and wrote this book last year, and now it's become a bestseller. But to me, the most important thing is the message, how people need to understand when God wants to signal us about coming events.
You know, the book of Revelations, many people have remarked to me how that book is difficult for them to read and understand. Are you one who studies the book of Revelations and unravels the codes within that, or what?
I do like doing that, and I have free teachings on our website where it's all free, the notes, the audio, and I go through some of the things. But I think one reason why a lot of people have trouble unraveling it as Christians is because they don't have the connection to the Old Testament. They're not connecting the dots. They don't see the patterns. Do you know there are over 200 Old Testament verses in the book of Revelation that is being referred to, just in that one book? And so if you're not familiar with the Old Testament, you're not going to make the connections of the over 200 verses that it's referring to.
So there are, how should I put it, links between what is being said in Revelations and those things, that which is in the New Testament, and those things which are being said in various chapters or verses, books of the Bible in the Old Testament, right?
Exactly. It's kind of like when we were kids, first grade through third grade, they'd have numbers 1 through 100 or whatever, and as we connect the dots, all of a sudden we saw this picture of what we were drawing. Well, that's how I do with the Bible. I just connect the dots of scriptures to scriptures, and then things just come unfolded.
I noticed when I was doing a little bit of research work to find out something about you, I ran across some videos where you are speaking, where people have interviewed you, either on television or they may have been on alternative news channels, but they were videos. And they're short, and they just give a kind of real brief synopsis of some things that you're saying. Do you mind if we put any of those up on our video?
All of them up. Whatever you'd like to, that's fine.
Okay, great. Also want to be able to draw people to the website you just mentioned where you have some free teachings at. What is that website? How do you get there?
Sure. It's the normal www. And then it is elshaddaiministries.us. But the simple way to get there is just Google my name, Mark Biltz. And you can even spell it wrong as Blitz. And it'll take you to where you'll see our website, El Shaddai Ministries. Click on that, and you're there.
Well, wonderful. And again, folks, you spell Mark's name, B-I-L-T-Z. Back on the subject of these blood moons, as I understand it, NASA, and this is partly from the videos I watched where you were speaking, and if you don't mind, I'll just say this. If I go wrong here, stop me.
No problem.
But from what I have read and looked at on video of you, you went on NASA's website, and you found out that NASA could go back into history, even unrecorded history, I guess, where they could go back thousands of years in time to see what the stars and what the planets were doing at a particular time. Is that right so far?
5,000 years. They have records of 5,000 years of solar and lunar eclipses.
Wow. Well, and likewise, you could also go forward from today's date, for instance, and go forward, 5,000 years again?
I think it's a total of 5,000 years, 3,000 years backwards and 2,000 years forward.
I got you. Okay.
Okay, we're going to fade him out right there, and we're going to be going into a commercial break in just a moment. I want to let you know that the name of the program that you're listening to is We the People 1787, not
1786, like the commercial said a moment ago. That's just a mistake there. But it's We the People 1787, and you can go to our website. It is the same thing. It's wethepeople1787.org, not .com. And we're going to have, you'll see on the site that we have all of our recorded shows that we've done in 2014 and 2015. That's going to be there. This show that you're listening today in its entirety will be there. It'll be there probably about next Wednesday of next week. So you'll be able to tune in and hear the exact whole thing just as it was transcribed. Folks, we're about ready to take that break. This is AM 600. It's 100.3 FM. Bob Wolf at The Answer. Come back in just a moment. Don't change the dial.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson.
All right,
Once again, here is Forrest.
It's not Forrest, it's Bob. And sorry about the little engineering difficulties, cutting this last segment short. We're going to go ahead and get back into the next segment for you. Excuse us for that difficulty. This is Bob Wolf. I'm sitting in for Forrest Wilson this week, and we're glad that you stayed with us. We're talking to Pastor Mark Biltz. The subject is the blood moons, a phenomena that's taking place in the heavens above us. Pay close attention. Right. Well, at any rate, even if there were to be a rapture, and even if that rapture were to be in September of this year, 2015, that wouldn't be the end of the world. That would be the rapture. Not that that's insignificant. It would be very significant, but that's not the end of the world. Am I correct?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Because if the Lord does return sometime in the next decade, we're still going to be here for another 1,000 years while He rules and reigns. So it's definitely not going to be the end of the world.
Right. So I just kind of wanted to bring that out for people that think, well, here we go. Somebody's forecasting the end of the world, and I know there's a lot of people out there that have forecasted the end of the world, and nobody's been right about that yet. And you always hear that sort of thing, don't you?
Oh yeah, but that's definitely not what I'm saying.
Right. So anyway, the actual phenomena of the blood moon occurs because the sun and the moon and the earth get into a perfectly straight alignment with each other. And in doing that, there is an aura around the moon that is caused by the light emitting from the sun. And that aura, I'm calling it an aura, I think it may be, maybe, I'm not sure what the right name for it is. It could be the atmosphere of the moon, I'm not sure, but that aura appears to be a bit orange, turning the whole moon orange, so to speak. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, what happens is the Earth's atmosphere, the Earth comes between the sun and the moon, and it's like a rainbow. You have light that has colors. Well, the sun's light goes around the Earth through the atmosphere, and the blue rays are real short, and so they don't extend. The red color is real long, so the red rays is what, the color red is what hits the moon, which is why it appears the blood red.
I see. In any case, the blood moon can be a very pretty thing to see, to observe. Of course, as we know now, this particular 4 blood moons, 2 of the blood moons have already occurred. Can you tell me what those dates were?
Oh, I believe they were April 4th last year. I'll have to look. And then I think October 8th. I have to double check. And then this one is April 4th and September 28th.
So that these 2 that are to yet occur, completing this cycle of the 4 blood moons, are yet to occur April 8th, did you say?
No, the morning of the broadcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. That would be
Saturday, April 4th.
Oh, okay. April 4th, and then in September, I think you said 28th. Yes. So now everyone's not going to be able to observe the wonderment of the blood moon because they may not be in the right position to on the Earth in order to make that happen. Am I correct?
Correct. This one here is going to be seen in North America, South America, the Pacific, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, there. It won't be seen in Israel. The last one will be seen in Israel. And I'll bring up this, because of that panel discussion, a lot of those, one of the questions John Hagee couldn't answer at the very end, I have an absolute answer for. I wish I was on that panel discussion, because I could have properly answered those questions. But one of them was, why do you see this significant for Israel when you can't see these first 3 blood moons in Israel? And I'll tell you the reason why is because half of the world's Jews don't live in Israel. They live in the Americas, for heaven's sake. And I believe these are signs to the Jewish people around the world that aren't in Israel that they need to be prepared to go back to Israel.
Wow. To return to Israel.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Look at I believe persecution is going to be coming to the Jewish people in America, which is going to end up causing them to return.
Seems like there's, it's not really persecution by the Americans at this point, but there may be some persecution yet to be seen here in America against the Jews. Am I right?
I definitely think so. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but how I see things possibly unfolding with this whole situation with Iran, I think Israel may end up defending themselves and attacking Iran, and then you're going to see attacks on Israel from Hezbollah in Lebanon, from Syria, from the Gaza Strip, all over. And I think, Israel is going to have a devastating attack on Arab countries, and I believe that is going to the consequence will be you're going to see terrorist bombings here in the United States. You're going to see suicide bombings, I think, that's going to rock the United States when that happens. And then everyone's going to blame the Jews that the terrorists are blowing themselves up here in America, because if they had to defend themselves, they wouldn't have happened. It's this syndrome we have of always blaming the victim rather than the person who is, causing the problem. But that's what I see unfolding.
So you feel like Israel will be okay in the end? Do you think Israel will be able to defend itself?
I think that Israel will survive. I think they obviously are going to suffer losses, but you just can't destroy the Jewish people. They're survivors.
And I guess that would be because they are God's people.
That's right.
That's something. Well, also, do you have an email address that you would want people to write to you at, and do you want to reveal that?
Sure. The phone number, if you want to call our office, is 253-862-8010 or 8010. That you can get to our office and talk to them. They'd love to answer any questions. My email address is just my name, Mark Biltz, msn.com. I have thousands of emails. I don't have a chance to answer them all. I have 3 other people going through my emails helping me. So don't get upset if you don't get an immediate response or a response from someone else. But the main thing I want to get out is we've got to get on God's calendar.
Say that last part again about the calendar.
I think we need to get on God's calendar. I think we need to understand the appointed times. If people are interested in Bible prophecy, they need to know that God has a day timer that He operates on. He does things on His schedule. Like if you have employees and you tell them you want to meet them at 2 o'clock on Friday, and they say, no, how about 3 o'clock on Tuesday? They're not going to be employed very long. Well, God I believe in divine appointments, and people need to realize some of these are scheduled. Okay, He wants to meet with His people, and so we need to understand His appointment book.
How many calendars do you think there are now?
Well, let me give you an example. The normal calendar that this world uses is based totally on the sun. It's a solar calendar, very scientific, but it's not the one God uses. Then you have the Muslim calendar. It is totally based on the moon. And it is a great scientific calendar. It's perfect for the moon, but it's not the one God uses. In Genesis, God said He wants a calendar that's based on both the sun and the moon. See, we have to add a leap day every 4 years to keep things in alignment. The biblical calendar, you have an entire month that is added 7 times over 19 years to keep the sun and the moon in alignment. And that's the one that He uses. When you read the Old Testament, it talks about like the 9th day of the month of Av. Well, that's roughly the 9th of August. But when people realize historical events happened on that day became a day of judgment. later, Rome destroyed the temple on the very same day in 70 AD. In 1290, all the Jews were kicked out of England on the 9th day of Av. 1492, all the Jews were kicked out of Spain on the 9th day of the month of Av. World War I started on the 9th of Av. Hitler's proclamation to kill the Jews was on the 9th of Av. And they evacuated the Gaza Strip, rejecting the land in 2005 on the 9th of Av. And there's a prophecy that something else is going to happen on the 9th of Av that is going to change Israel completely. Well, if we don't know when that is on our calendar, we're going to miss the prophecy.
All right, we're going to have to cut to a break. We're going to come right back to Pastor Mark Biltz. We're discussing the blood moons, his book, the discs that he has made, DVDs, on the blood moons and other subjects. This is a phenomenon taking place over our heads in the heavens right now and up until September 28th of this year. So don't go anywhere. Come on back. This is FM 100.3, The Answer, and Bob Wolf.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
In this final segment of the show, I'm talking to Pastor Mark Biltz, and I'm starting at the place where we began to talk about how many different calendars there are, at least calendars that we use now. And we'll begin there.
Well, let me give you an example. The normal calendar that this world uses is based totally on the sun. It's a solar calendar, very scientific, but it's not the one God uses. Then you have the Muslim calendar. It is totally based on the moon. And it is a great scientific calendar. It's perfect for the moon, but it's not the one God uses. In Genesis, God said he wants a calendar that's based on both the sun and the moon. See, we have to add a leap day every 4 years to keep things in alignment. The biblical calendar, you have an entire month that is added 7 times over 19 years to keep the sun and the moon in alignment. And that's the one that he uses. When you read the Old Testament, it talks about like the 9th day of the month of Av. Well, that's roughly the 9th of August. But when people realize historical events happened on that day became a day of judgment, because that's when the 10 spies brought the bad report. And so that day is when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the temple on that day in 586 BC. 600 years later, Rome destroyed the temple on the very same day in 70 AD. In 1290, all the Jews were kicked out of England on the 9th day of Av. 1492, all the Jews were kicked out of Spain on the 9th day of the month of Av. World War I started on the 9th of Av. Hitler's proclamation to kill the Jews was on the 9th of Av. And they evacuated the Gaza Strip, rejecting the land in 2005 on the 9th of Av. And there's a prophecy that something else is going to happen on the 9th of Av that is going to change Israel completely. Well, if we don't know when that is on our calendar, we're going to miss the prophecy.
So the thing that people want to remember about the tetrad is that something it would signal that something significant is about to happen.
Definitely.
And perhaps we would not know what that significant thing would be and are yet to be shown. When do you think that significance would happen? Would it happen right at the time when the last blood moon comes, or sometime just after? What do you think about that?
I would say that by the end of 2016, here we're in 2015, we had the last one on September 28th. I would think we should see something biblically prophetic, very significant happen by the end of 2016.
Okay, I see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm doing is interviewing Pastor Mark Biltz. He is an author of some books and tapes, or pardon me, not tapes, but DVDs on the 4 blood moons. And the other one I don't have right in front of me. Mark, give me the name of that book that you've authored there.
Well, the other thing, I'm coming out with an actual book on this, but I do have a workbook with a set of DVDs on the Feast of the Lord. There's 5 DVDs in the set, and then I have a workbook that accompanies it that has all the scripture verses for people to go through, and it's called the Feast of the Lord, and you can get them on our website is the best place to get them. You can also get them at Amazon.com. But I highly recommend these 5 DVDs and the workbook that goes with it, because it helps people understand the divine appointments.
Okay. I have a website here, Mark, for superstore.wnd.com. Do you think that's okay?
No, that's a great place. That is the publisher of my book.
Okay. Then I have another website. One of them says shop. I think it's ELSHAD DAI Ministry. DA Ministries.
That's us, El Shaddai Ministries.
Okay. That's your website?
Sure.
Okay. And it says there's DVDs there on that HTML page. And then another one is a index.php page for El Shaddai Ministries.us.
That should be the same.
That's the one I think that's the one you talked about to begin with.
Yeah, any of those. If it says El Shaddai Ministries.us at the beginning, they're all good.
Okay. Well, this is terrific. And what I'm going to do here is I know that this is a recorded transcript here, and we're not live with Mark Biltz today, but I am going to invite people to call me with questions. And there are some things here that I'd like to encourage people.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fade that out. If you do have questions or you have comments on the show, I would appreciate you giving us a call. It's area code 904-222-TALK or 222-8255. This is Bob Wolf. I've been sitting in the last couple of times for Forrest Wilson. He's on vacation, but he'll soon be back with us. And I'm really curious if there are any ministers out there listening to the show. If there's anybody that maybe is a leader in their Christian church or their Jewish synagogue, whatever it may be. If you have comments that you would like to make on the show, if you liked it, you didn't like it, we try to do what we can do. I'm sorry that we had to cut that one segment short. It kind of threw a curveball at me, but the best laid plans of men and mice don't always work. So anyway, next week I might have another one to do like this where I'm going to have a recorded show, so I'll just have to figure it out so that it does work right. But anyway, folks, I wanted to let you know we have a website that you can go to during the week, and you'll find the recorded shows there. This is We the People, 1787.org. These recorded shows are done in a unique way. They're not just audios. They are done in a video fashion. So all the things that Pastor Biltz was talking about, when he mentions a website or phone number or whatever it may be, those things will be up on the screen so that you can see what the websites and the phone numbers are and other information that's given out. So along with other photographs, maybe photographs of the people involved. So I wanted to make sure that you're invited to go to that website. Leave us an email. You can always go to the Contact Us button. Tell us what you think about the website. Tell us what you think about the show. We need your support. We also have a Facebook page. Facebook page is We the People, 1787. And our Twitter page is 1787we, at 1787we. So you can tweet us, you can get us on Facebook, and you can also go to the website page. So I'm just sitting here waiting to see if I can get somebody to call me. Anybody interested in what we just talked about, the blood moon phenomena going on right now? Tonight, as a matter of fact, is the third blood moon of this particular tetrad, and with the fourth blood moon taking place on 9/28 of 15, that's September 28. I know that Pastor Biltz made a mistake when he said that he thought that it was April 4th, I think, of 2014, which was that was incorrect. It was 4/15. That was April 15th of 2014. That was Passover. So all of this, the odd thing here is that all of these dates fall on these Jewish feasts. These, not Jewish feasts, but are God's feasts. They happen on those special times. So, folks, we do appreciate you tuning in on us today, tuning in to get our show. We hope that you will go to our website We hope that you'll tweet us or get on our Facebook page. And until that time, I am got about 2 minutes left. If I might be able to take one quick call if you have a quick question. No. Engineer says no. I don't have the time. So anyway, I'm just sitting here trying to let you know that we need your support. We want you to, call us next week if you don't get a time to do it this week. Call us next week. The number again is 904-222-TALK or 222-8255. Okay. Light the board up for me. Let them know that you're interested in our show. You want to support us. Well, I guess that's about all I have for you folks this week. We're going to fade off into the sunset, and maybe we'll see if Forrest Wilson is fishing in the Bahamas or just what exactly he's doing. I hope I am able to fill in and do a good enough job for him. So I appreciate that Forrest Wilson does a great job, too. So I hope that he'll be back soon. Until then, this is Bob Wolf, AM 600, The Answer, or FM 100.3.